Hey church, hope you're doing well in these pretty challenging times at the moment. I'm bringing this message to you from our makeshift balcony. Behind me is the backdrop of some parts of Westminster, and I just want to introduce to you this study for tonight based on Jesus' entry into Jerusalem, Luke chapter 19 and Palm Sunday. And I think that one of the things we need most at this time is to be able to see Jesus and to savor him. I think of Peter, who's getting out of the boat to walk on water with Jesus, and the thing he needs to do is keep his eyes fixed on Jesus. Only he kind of looks away at the storm and the waves and all of the noise going on, and there's a lot of noise that's going on at the moment in our society that induces fear and doubt and anxiety, and understandably so, and we can get distracted very quickly and look away, especially if we start our days instead of in our Bibles and prayer, but by reading the latest news feed or the death statistics that are going on out there. That can get us really down. We can start to sink. That's what happened to Peter. Instead, we need to fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and the perfecter of our faith. And that, I think, is what this passage, Luke chapter 19, is trying to help us to do. And it does it by revealing to us the paradoxes of Jesus. And there's two in particular, his majesty and his meekness. And also, I think there's his justice and his mercy, or his anger and his anguish, that beautifully come together in Jesus Christ. So as Jesus enters into Jerusalem, he's riding on a donkey, and this is very, very unusual. It's a very humble, meek way for the God of all glory to enter in, and he's coming on this donkey to die for us, for our salvation. The God who has all power. We see this in that he knows where the donkey is. Jesus is omniscient. We see this in the fact that this donkey, who has never been ridden before, is now being submissive to Jesus. He should be bucking, he should be fighting back, but he is under the authority of Jesus Christ, because Jesus is the creator of the world, the God of all power, who creates, whose word here has power. And he just says, go, that the Lord has use of it. Tell them the Lord has use of it, and they'll give you the donkeys. And that's amazing, that the power of God, that the God who spoke creation out of nothing, and God said, and it was so. God said, and it was so. God says, and it was so. The refrain of creation. This God is riding in extraordinary meekness. This God of majesty and glory is riding with meekness into Jerusalem. That should give us a sense of awe and amazement, because that he's using all of his power, all of his brilliance to bring about our salvation. And then the next thing we see is that Jesus is weeping over the city. Now, I think that's because God loves cities, and he's got a call right now upon people to come and help serve him in cities in a sacrificial way. But also, I think he's weeping over in anguish over their blindness to their sin and their unwillingness to respond rightly to him. The city of peace isn't receiving the Prince of Peace in the correct way. They just think he's there to come and deliver them. Many of them, the crowds are gathering, hoping he'll break them free from Roman oppression and tyranny, rule over them. They're not seeing that he's coming to bring about a much greater and deeper and more powerful revolution and liberation. Jesus is also, I think, weeping over the judgment that would come to them. It shouldn't be so. They are going to be judged in some way when the Romans do come fully and destroy. They trash the temple, and 1.1 million Jews are going to die. There's an anguish of what judgment is going to do to people that is necessary for God to be just, but he wishes it wasn't so. I think of the anguish of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, praying, take this cup from me, sweating drops of blood. If there was any other way, the anguish of what it's going to cost him to bring about salvation is also seen here. And it's God's heart of love to bring rescue. Jesus is coming in anger to cleanse and to clean out the temple, that all might be able to come in and meet with him, that the Gentiles wouldn't be excluded from the outer temple. Jew and Gentile were meant to be able to come in there and be still and know God. Jesus wants everyone to come into real relationship, fellowship with him. And so there's this anger, righteous anger against sin and wrongdoing and excluding people from his presence. And there's this anguish about the cost of judgment to people as well, coming together beautifully in Jesus. And we see that at the cross. God's perfect love and his righteous anger coming together as Jesus, God himself, takes the judgment on himself as an expression of his love, that he might allow us full access into the presence of God to enjoy him forever. And I believe if we start to really see Jesus fully as he is, the God man, the one who is majestic and meek, the one who is full of anguish and yet righteous anger, we will start to reverence and awe and see him. And as we see him, we'll be able to supernaturally walk with him through these extremely difficult times and not sink. So I pray you have a wonderful time in your study. I would just flag one thing. Hopefully all of you are already with us at 11 a.m. for our live stream. But also I'd just love you to be with us at Fridays, every Friday, 7 o'clock for 30 minutes. We are going to pray for freedom from the coronavirus, freedom from fear, and for Jesus to set hundreds, maybe thousands of captives free in our city. So come join us and have a wonderful study. God bless you.